Welcome back to the NutriSafe podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Wednesday. A lot to talk about, a lot to break down. Record-setting national championship on Sunday. It's Monday night right now as we're recording this. The men's national championship starts. So unfortunately, we won't be able to break that one down for y'all, at least today. You may break it down and have that come out later in the week. But the women's game, very entertaining, very action-packed. NHL playoff race heating up, even though it seems as if no one wants to take that second wild card in the East. The Masters is this week. It is finally upon us. UFC 300 is this weekend. So, great weekend in sports, great week in sports in general, great week for sports betting. We've got the 12-leg day going right now, currently on day 3. We weren't able to film Sunday for that. It was a little hectic here in Carolina with the national championship. So there's that. Joe, you have any opening thoughts / statements?
No, I'm just gonna let you enjoy your moment. Enjoy your moment, because when football season comes, it's gonna be a very depressing season for you. So I'm just gonna let you have this one.
Hey, I'm gonna keep the receipts. That's all I'm gonna say.
You're gonna keep the receipts, and the receipts are gonna say 5-7 this year.
If we end up being 6-6, I will not let you hear the end of it. And you're gonna be like, "Oh,
wow, that's the goal in the SEC, guys. It means more to go 6-6, with 3 of your wins probably being out of conference, or even 2 of them.
So you know what's funny is I think you guys wouldn't scratch 8-4 with our schedule.
Ohio State?
Yeah. I don't think you go into Bama and beat Bama. I think you guys would struggle at Oklahoma having to travel all that way. Ole Miss coming to y'all.
Dog.
Joey, you're in the Big Ten. It might
8
as well
and
just be a
4?
big pile
8
of
and
shit.
4. 8 and 4 with one of the top 2 most talented rosters on paper this year. And you can't deny that. On paper, Ohio State has one of the top 2 most talented rosters on paper. It's Ohio State and Georgia.
Didn't y'all have that last year and y'all still lost to Michigan?
No, we didn't have the Wolverines had probably the best roster in football, and they ended up winning. We didn't have a quarterback last year.
Neither did the Wolverines. J.J. McCarthy is not good.
J.J. McCarthy did his job, though. J.J. McCarthy's better than Kyle McCord. That's why Kyle McCord's at Syracuse right now. J.J. hit the throws when he had to, though.
Okay, moving on. We'll talk about that in the late summer / early fall. The Women's National Championship game broke records for viewership. I think it was like 21.3 something million. One of the most watched basketball games the TV people have had. I don't know what the exact record was that was breaking. I don't really care. I'm reveling in our championship right now. It's fucking awesome. I didn't have to go to half my classes today. That's a win for me. So, it was a great game all around, I think. I think South Carolina's depth definitely came out. That very apparent. Iowa's bench had 0 points. I think they had 3 rebounds, maybe 2 assists.
Surprise.
So, your starters aren't going to be able to do everything for the whole 40 minutes, and that was very evident. Tessa Johnson for South Carolina came off the bench and dominated. She was pouring in threes. I think she was 7 of 11 or 7 of 9. 7 of 11 from the field and 2 of 2 from free throws. So she had herself a career high. One of the bigger things I want to talk about, though, and I feel like this was more prevalent in the first half and definitely mentioned on social media, the refs were terrible. They were terrible the entire game, and they were terrible calling both ways, but they tended to lean more towards Iowa. And one of the things I noticed was anytime Caitlin Clark got touched, it was a foul. And there was a lot of milking and diving, in my opinion. I don't know if you noticed it or if you really thought that happened, but
it was on both sides.
earlier on, I feel like it leaned more towards Iowa, and that some of these calls are bullshit. My bigger one though was I believe it was in the early second quarter. Camila Cardoso was called for a travel, and they went back and showed the replay. Her foot didn't even come close to coming off the ground. And so, I mean, the announcers even noticed that they were like, that should not have been called. So, um, again, the refs played a, I don't want to say they played a factor earlier on in the game, but some of those calls, I feel like the NCAA's just got to do better. Your thoughts?
Iowa, Iowa was going. Iowa always, when they were playing basketball this year, was always going to have the best player on the court. I don't think there's denying that. That Caitlin Clark's the best player in women's basketball. It's not even close, in my opinion. So, the question was going to be, is Iowa going to have a second, third, fourth, or fifth best player in the game? And it just wasn't that. I mean, South Carolina had 2, 3, 4, and 5. Probably 6 and 7, too, if we're going to be honest. And South Carolina figured it out in the second quarter and said, we're going to make your depth beat us. Even in your 2 through 5 players, Iowa, we're going to make your depth beat us. And that's honestly, they couldn't. And that depth came up huge against UConn. And that was the reason they ultimately ended up winning that game. But, like I said about South Carolina playing NC State, South Carolina just had to show up for this game, make sure the bus driver gets there okay, make sure that he's drinking a lot of water, gets a lot of sleep the night before. But other than that, that's all South Carolina had to do. You go 37-0, you might as well win in the 38th one. But congratulations, enjoy it. But that's all I got for that.
So I agree with you saying you win 37, get 37, or you might as well win 38. I think that's a good point there. I mean, Iowa in the first quarter, they just about controlled the game. I mean, they jumped out to a quick 10-0, 10-2 lead, and you saw players like Kate Martin, Hannah Falter, and some of these other the 2 through 5. They jumped in real quick and got some quick baskets. Um, that just as the game kind of progressed, that was not the case. Um, I mean, you see Raven Johnson. I think she had a hell of a game on defense. And although it didn't show up on the offensive side of the stats for her, she only had 2 points. I think, in my opinion, she was probably one of the more crucial players for the Gamecocks. Um, I mean, you look at it, she held her and the entire Gamecock defense held Clark to 5 of 20 from the field in those the second through the fourth quarter, and then Clark had 4 turnovers, which pretty uncharacteristic. One of the bigger ones, and I think kind of the I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but the momentum shifter and really kind of what I feel like drained the energy out of Iowa was right at the end of the first half when she stole Raven Johnson stole the ball from Caitlin Clark at half court, took it in for a layup right before the buzzer. That was be her only basket, but I feel like that really sucked the wind out of Iowa. And I mean, after the half, they just kind of came out. I don't want to say flat-footed. They just weren't able to keep up with the fast-paced, high-octane offense and ultimately the depth that South Carolina brings to the table.
I mean, I think they did until like 3 minutes left in the game where they didn't score. They didn't score. It was the clutch. It was the depth. It was who wants it in the final 5 minutes of the game? Who wants it more? And I think the final 5 minutes of that game, or even the final three, where South Carolina, how many did they score? Like 12? In the
So,
final 3 minutes, and I wouldn't score any? It was something like
so,
that, because it was a
so
5-point game.
the final 4.5 minutes, Iowa did not score, and South Carolina was able to put 7 in. So I mean, seven's not really that big of a number, but it was enough to kind of um, just shut the door and just kind of put it away. I mean, you didn't need to go out and drop 13 or 14 in those last couple minutes. and they didn't really get fouled at the end either. So you didn't see the traditional 4 to 5 free throws you get from like the foul shots at the end. So given that, I mean, it probably could have been a 90 to 75 game, but it is what it is. South Carolina wins the national championship. Um, I mean, scenes on campus yesterday. I mean, it was awesome. Everyone was jumping in fountains. I mean, it was a party here, so it'll be interesting. I think my biggest thing looking forward to next year will be how do these, I think we've talked about this previously, how do these TV numbers and the ratings hold up after Caitlin Clark leaves? Because if Caitlin Clark is such a big part of why so many of these games are getting massive viewership numbers, then what's going to happen when she leaves? And what's going to happen to the WNBA as she makes that transition from college to professional?
So I think most of the WNBA games are on ESPN Plus, I believe. I think they stream it sometimes on ESPN, but most of them are on ESPN Plus. If that is the case, ESPN has to capitalize off this opportunity because the season starts in mid-May, the WNBA season. I seen that earlier. And it's not just Caitlin Clark leaving. Angel Reese drew a lot of viewership because she was the villain in this.
Mm-hmm.
And she played the villain role for a lot of her career in college. You also have Cameron Brink leaving. Let Paige Paige cannot remember her last name. She's
Paige
staying.
Beckers.
Yeah, Paige Beckers is staying, which is good. I think isn't Cardoso going to the draft?
Cardoso is going to the draft, but South
So
Carolina will
a lot
return
of the
4 of their
stars,
starters.
well, a lot of the stars for South Carolina, or not South Carolina, in women's college basketball are gone. So we'll see. I love women's sports getting noticed. I want all of them to get noticed, but I I don't know. I'd be worried about women's college basketball, and I'm worried that ESPN will not capitalize off this opportunity with the WNBA.
So, and I could not agree with you more on that. You did
I got
say
one
something
more
about
thing. Because people aren't going to buy ESPN Plus for the WNBA.
no.
I can tell you that right now. So they're typically going to buy it for hockey or the extra college football games they got or the extra college sport, whatever SEC extras you get or ACC, whatever. So that's that's what I'm worried about. ESPN has to capitalize off this opportunity. Luckily for them, there's not a lot going on in the summer other than your Sunday night baseball. But that's about it.
Hmm.
But that's all I
So
got.
you had just mentioned something about Angel Reese being the villain for a lot of her college career, and one of the things I think she needs to fix going from college to the WNBA, one would be her attitude and kind of like the way she looks at things. Given I think that she did a fantastic job of capitalizing off of her fame and great job at being opportunistic there, making as much money as she could in college. Fantastic job from like a money, financial, economic standpoint. Awesome. When it came to like PR and stuff, and you talked about her being the villain, I think she needs to lean more into that as she goes into the WNBA and realize, hey, some people may not like me. That's fine. I'm just going to brush off whatever comments. Because I think she had a press conference recently where she was wondering why she was getting, um, I don't want to say hate comments, but more negative comments about her play or something about her mentality there. And so I think if she wants to really go in and be a name or make a name for herself in the WNBA, one, it might take a year or two, but two, embrace that villain mentality. You've seen guys in the NBA do it. I think what was his name? Jordan Poole may have done it when he went to the Wizards a little bit, but I mean
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. So I'm not a big NBA guy. I wouldn't be able to speak very much on that. But capitalize off that and make that villain part of your brand. And I mean, there's ways to make clothing and stuff out of that too. But um, that's my just key piece for that. So if you don't have any other college notes there. I'm ready to move on.
I do want to say this about the Angel Reese thing. You can't. You knew you were playing a villain role in college, and then you come out in this press conference after you lose, bitching and moaning about how everything's so hard and da 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 da. You can't have it both ways. And death threats are completely unacceptable. Some of the stuff she was probably receiving, completely unacceptable. But you can't be doing all this. You can't be acting the way you are on the court and expect people not to dislike you. A lot of people prefer class. And I'm not saying Caitlin Clark or whoever was always the most classy, but in a lot of the things people see off the court in your press conferences, it rubs people the wrong way. You can't come out crying and complaining about you receiving hate mail. And I get that's hard for a 21-year-old, but you can't come out complaining about it when you leaned into that role your entire college career. And then you lose, and it's, oh, why does everyone hate me? You're a grown woman, and it's not going to get any better because you're going into a bigger spotlight. Because I have a feeling the NBA, ESPN, the WNBA are all going to make that big push to make women's basketball this huge deal and make the WNBA the premier women's sport. So you can't go in with you can't play victim and villain at the same time. And that's not going to work in the pros. People aren't going to have sympathy for you. Especially, you're 21 now. You have to be an adult about this type of stuff, and it just is what it is.
So I couldn't agree more with you there. I like what you said about being 21. Like some of these college kids that go and get hate mail for, or even being attacked online or whatever about some of the decisions they're making, it's unacceptable. To an extent, first off, you shouldn't be giving hate. I mean, it's a kid who's playing a college sport. First off, it's a game. I get it could mean a lot to you. Sports mean a lot to me. I've played them my entire life. I go to a school where sports are something we care about. It's never okay to go out and attack a student athlete or just a kid for making the decisions they made, whether it's a
Or
mistake
anyone
on the
in
field
general.
or off the field. I mean, it's their decision. They made their decision. It's done. It's in the past. You can't change it. Move forward. Everything's going to be okay. It's a sport. It's a game. It's something we do for entertainment and financials. So that's my stance on it.
It was like that girl from Iowa for getting
The foul.
had him delete her social media because of the foul. And that was a foul. So don't act like it wasn't.
I mean,
So
my thing is
you
you hold on. You can say what you want about foul, no foul, whatever, regardless of the fact. Take that call out of the picture. You don't go and attack someone to the point where they have to delete social media because they're getting flooded with comments on, hey, fuck you, whatever. Like that,
or even
unacceptable.
death threats.
It's unbelievable that you would go that far over something like that. There's an extra page. If you're a UConn fan, you're doing that. First off, your men's team is, I don't want to say likely going to win a national championship. I'll knock on wood for you, but your men's team is in the national championship. Paige Beckers is coming back next year. You're returning a good portion of your production. So there's no reason to go out and like bully a 20-year-old. I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, this reminds me of when Blake Haubeil, who was a former kicker for Ohio State, had to post that one, getting the death threats were unacceptable, but two, he wasn't even Ohio State's kicker when they missed the field goal against Georgia. And he had to delete his social media. And Ruggles, it was worse for Ruggles, I'm sure, who was the kicker that missed that field goal against Georgia in the first round in 2021. It's not worth it. I love sports just as much as the next guy or the next girl, but there's just no reason for it. It's a game. I get passionate. I'll yell at my TV because South Carolina didn't cover or South Carolina didn't win against Oregon for me. Or, whatever. I'll be yelling at my TV because Alabama didn't cover plus 11.5. So, I'm passionate about sports than anyone. You don't want to see me when I'm watching an Ohio State game, an Ohio State football game. You don't want to see me when I'm watching any of my favorite sports teams. But it's not that deep. I'm not going to go on my phone and text players, you made this stupid ass play. Fuck you, kill yourself, whatever. And like threatening families and shit. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just go to sleep. Enjoy your life. Go sit back and have a beer. It's not that serious. I promise.
So speaking of just the game, the good old hockey game, that is, the NHL playoff race. And we were talking about this last week, and we were saying it's heating up. I don't know
10
if cooling.
days.
I don't know if cooling down is now the right word for it or not, because out of 6 teams that are in contention for the last two spots, really, to get in the playoffs, 4 of them have pretty bad past 10 game records. I mean, the Washington Capitals have lost 6 straight. The Detroit Red Wings have lost 5 of their last 7. The Philadelphia Flyers have lost 7 straight and 11 of their last 14. And then the Devils have lost 4 of their last 5. So, I mean, when we say, hey, hockey's supposed to get better in April, it's getting worse. And especially for these teams. I don't want to say hockey's getting worse as a whole, because the Rangers are on fire right now. I think they're going to and all the odds I'm going to talk about here over the next 10 minutes are all from moneypuck.com. Those guys are awesome. If you love looking at stats, analytics, and all that, they got you covered. But the Rangers have like an 88% chance to take on the President's Cup trophy, which I personally believe in the curse that comes with it, and how I don't know if they'll be able to make it out of the first round. So we'll see about that one. But when you look at the playoff race for the last wildcard spot in the East, Pittsburgh and New York are both teams that I think are getting hot at the right time, which is crucial.
Are you talking about
going into the
Islanders or
playoffs.
Rangers?
Islanders. The Rangers
Okay.
have already sealed their spot in the playoffs.
I mean, the Islanders.
And
Is there a way that the Islanders can get left out of the playoffs? Is that That's
yes,
a legitimate possibility.
there
Because
is.
all these teams playing so bad have given Pittsburgh a way to make it in the playoffs, which is insane.
As of, I believe, so I checked the odds this morning, but I guess they were updated last night after the conclusion of the Sunday night games. So out of those 16, so the other 2 teams that are in the hunt are Pittsburgh and New York Islanders. So Pittsburgh's won 6 of their last 7, and New York's won 5 of their last 6. So they're the 2 that are getting hot at the right time. But out of the 6 that I've mentioned over the last 2 minutes, the Islanders have the best chance at 59.2% chance, or 59.2 to get into the playoffs, followed by your Red Wings at 51.6. So
And the Islanders don't have a hard schedule coming up.
I feel like that's something they factor into it. But
I mean, they play the Rangers twice, and then they have the Habs, the Devils, and the Pens.
So to finish out what I was saying, Pittsburgh's got a 38% chance. Washington's got basically a 26% chance, and Philadelphia has a 25% chance. And the Devils, I think, if they lose another game, they're statistically eliminated. So,
Depending on who wins tonight.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, bummer, because when I was doing the 12 leg, I usually like to go to the hockey money line just because that's what I know best. There's 2 games on tonight. It's tragic.
Yeah, the Pens and the Leafs are tied right now, going into the third.
So, but I'm looking at this, like the Caps losing 6 straight. They don't have an easy schedule going in. I mean, we've mentioned. I mean, this is not the first time we've mentioned this, but to close out, I mean, I think they have one of the hardest schedules left with Detroit, Buffalo, Tampa, Boston, and Philly.
Detroit tomorrow is going to be huge.
And then
That and
I think
Detroit's at home. That's a
and then I think that
But you can't get blown out by the Sabres again. You lost to the Sabres
no.
6-2.
Well, we also gave up 3 goals in a span of a minute and a half.
Either way, you can't lose to the Sabres 6-2. The
No,
Sabres are not a good hockey team. They're a young
we I,
hockey team, and they're going to be good in a couple years, theoretically. But they're like the Devils of last year, but worse. So
so
you can't get blown out by the Sabres again. There's a lot of marquee wild card games, but they play 3 wild card teams of their last 5. 2
yeah,
teams that
and
have clinched, and then 3 wild card teams.
so yeah, all 5 of their teams are still in the hunt. Still in the hunt. Well, still have life left. I'll put it at that. Like they don't have anyone who's like rolled over and done for. But I mean, I'm looking at it and it's like you've lost 6 straight. You're going into Detroit, which I don't have any confidence you'll be able to win that. And
I
then,
don't have any confidence that Detroit's going to be able to win it either. That's a toss-up.
so you know what I'm saying? Take the under on that game. I think that could be like a 2-0, 1-0 kind of game. And the line's probably going to be set at 5.5.
Let me see if the odds are out on it.
But on the flip side, talking about wild card, um, and going back to Money Puck and all their odds and stuff, Cup favorites
I got it
as
at
of yes,
6.
so, yeah, I take the under on that.
6 is at minus 115. Under 6 minus 115.
That's not a bad thing to parlay with something else. Maybe parlay it with a couple nerfies.
I love me some Nerfies. You already know that.
I got 2 in the 12 leg of the day.
Gotta love Nerfies.
I know one of them hit. Since we started recording, I think all the rest of the MLB games I had on there have started. So I'm unsure if the rest of my parlay has hit. But go follow the NutriSafe podcast Twitter. I'll be posting the actual thing there daily, as well as the videos on all of our social medias. So
You want that parlay for tomorrow? I got you. Over 6.5 for Minnesota, Colorado, and then the under in the Detroit game at under 6. There
I'll
you
keep
go.
that in mind. Well, it was over in what game?
Over 6.5 for Minnesota and Colorado.
And what was the other one?
Under 6 for
Under
Detroit.
6
Yeah.
in
Over's at
Washington.
minus 110. You parlay those together, you get, if I can find the game, you get plus
Like
256.
I said, I was going to be in the plus 250 to 300 range. But on the flip side,
Anyways,
Cup favorites though, this list interests me a lot. So the 3 teams with the best chance to win the Cup, according to Money Puck, Rangers at 14%, Toronto at 11%. Well, basically 12. It's 11.7, and then Carolina at 10.3. Personally,
you know what? I don't trust any 3 of those teams.
I was
Don't
about to
trust
say
any of them.
the
What did
team
I
I
say about the
trust,
Rangers earlier when we talked about it?
the team I trust the most out of the 3 of them would be Carolina. Toronto, historically, I think they got problems there with some sort of heebie-jeebie curse, whatever you want to call it.
But you know what
Um,
Carolina has? Historical problems too. You know what Carolina's record in their last 12 conference finals games are? 0
what
and
0 and
12.
12?
Yeah. Gotten
I don't know.
swept their last 3 conference final series.
If there's a
That's
year to
why
do
I
it,
don't trust them.
if there's a year to do it, this year's the year, though.
It was last year too.
Well, got to make the most of your opportunity. But Toronto, I think they've got problems with depth. I think they're base. I think a good equate or like a good comp team would be Iowa from women's basketball. Like you got your big 4, but outside of that, because you spent so much freaking money tying up Matthews, Marner, Nylander. Who else? Who else is in there?
Tavares.
And
And
Tavares.
they locked up Riley, and there's one more guy they locked up that they spent a lot of money on. But even then, Riley, that's like 50 million in cap, 50, 60 million in cap right there.
You put so much money into that core 5, 6 players that your depth going all the way down the chart is dog shit. And like we saw from Iowa, when when it matters most, that the bench isn't going to be able to perform to the consistency or the standard that you're going to want. I think a team like Carolina, who's got somewhat good depth this year, especially with the additions of Kuznetsov and Gensel, to be able to drop some of those higher um, guys who used to be in the top six, kind of down to that third line. Those top three lines in Carolina are looking mean. But and then the Rangers, if they win the President's Cup, I don't think they make it out of the first round.
I do. Because you want to know who they play? That trash team, whoever gets the last wild card spot.
Well,
And they
hold
match up.
on here, though.
They match up better. The only team they don't match up well against is Pittsburgh.
I was about to
It's the
say,
only team I see.
Pittsburgh and New York are the two teams I think end up getting in out of the six. And I think that Pittsburgh, because of how hot they are right now, not a team you want to be running into. Hold on, let me pull up see who they've played in this win streak real quick.
I got it. I got to pull it up. So they're playing the
So,
Leafs right now. It's 1-1. Then they beat the Lightning, the Caps, the
the
Devils,
Devils,
the
the
Rangers.
Rangers split with
Uh,
Columbus, and then they beat Carolina 4-1. So,
yeah, and then lost the previous three before that.
I do want to quickly interject here. Thoughts and prayers from us going out to the referee. Scary collision in that Tampa Bay Pittsburgh game. I don't know if you saw it. He was down unconscious on the ice for about 2 minutes, I think.
Oh shit. Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
it,
thoughts
it
and
was
prayers to him.
it was behind the play. When we clip this and do whatever, I'll throw a clip up on there for the reel. But actually, I probably should. That's terrible to have a video of a dude unconscious on the ice. Scary collision. Um, but
I want to watch it.
kudos to both the Pittsburgh Penguins medical staff as well as the Tampa Bay Lightning trainers, everyone involved there, being able to quickly get out to him and assist him. They were able to stretch him off. Last update I saw, he was awake, conscious, had all like the feelings and movements in his extremities, and expected to make a full recovery. So thoughts and prayers out to him. Um, I mean, good job on the NHL for being able to navigate through that. Thank you to Pittsburgh and Tampa for being able to assist in that. And I mean, good on both the teams as he was being stretchered off came over and like I don't know if like thanked him would be the word for it or like I guess they both teams the bench is cleared and they sent him off. I guess give him well wishes to the hospital, but there's that. Back to what we were saying, I think Pittsburgh is going to ultimately be the team that gets matched up with the Rangers, and with how hot Pittsburgh's been lately, and I think they've split the season series with New York, 1-1.
While
No,
you're doing
New York.
that, I'm gonna spell out. I'm gonna spell out the problems with these three teams. Uh, Toronto doesn't have depth in the forward, and do we trust their goalies? Here's the thing
No,
with Carolina and Toronto: do we trust the goaltending for both of those teams? Anderson, I don't know how healthy he is. Toronto, I don't trust any of their goalies. They got Wall, they got Murray, they got Samsonov, they got another one I can't remember off the top of my head. And then the Rangers, will their top lines be able to score? It's every year. But I just spelled out the problems. It's a team from the West is going to win the Cup this year. I'm telling you right now.
I think overall the Western Conference is I think they're built for
I
like
think they're
longer
deeper.
series. Yeah.
I mean, the points
Um,
don't say that, but I think the West is deeper.
I mean, it's because they're beating up on each other. But I think the big thing is you look at, I think the Eastern Conference is very top heavy, and even then, I think a couple of those top heavy teams have a little bit of a facade to them. They may
Well,
not
even
be as
then, the top heavy argument kind of sucks because you have 6 teams eliminated from the West and 3 from the East. That's the crazy part. There's a whole lot of middle in the East, is what I feel like. Because I mean, Nashville's pretty much got that
well. Okay,
second
hold on.
or first wild card spot locked up.
Well, listen to these teams I list off from the West, though, and I mean they've been perennially bad these past couple years. San Jose, can we agree they've been shit past
Past
three
about 3 years.
years?
Past 3, 4 years.
Because they beat Vegas in seven after the miraculous like 3 goal 5 minute power play.
Yeah.
Um, Anaheim,
And Anaheim's supposed to be on the come up this year, but
I mean they struggled to score.
yeah. And they don't
Um,
have a lot of overtime losses either.
uh-uh. Chicago, that Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard duo is about to be insane. It's about to be the next Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, the problem with doing the NHL does that, you're gonna piss a lot of people off. A lot of people off.
Because we knew, I think it's safe to say we knew last year it was rigged and Chicago was gonna get it.
Yeah, and they're gonna rig it again this year. San Jose should have the number one pick, without a doubt. They have 18 wins this year in 77 games. There's no reason they should not get it. Chicago sold everything, so that's on the organization.
But then the other team is Arizona, which speaking of Arizona, I believe they've finalized plans and they've gotten land and like renderings of an arena somewhat together. So good to see them move out of Arizona State's hockey rink because being a professional club and playing in a collegiate ice hockey rink
With
is wild
3,500 capacity, 3,500 person capacity.
and it mind blowing. But I think that's all I've got for the NHL.
Yeah, I'm good.
It'll be interesting to see how it develops over the next couple of days. Some massive games with some very big playoff implications. Um, big one between us being Washington and Detroit. I think we won the last one. I think that might have been our last win too.
I think it was.
I'm gonna
All right.
verify that real quick, just so I have the peace of mind. It was our last win was 4-3 against the Red Wings.
Yeah. And we
So
said that was going to be a big game. Let's get to the UFC 300 real quick. This card is absolutely loaded. I'm excited. I will probably be watching from the early prelims till 3 o'clock in the morning when the main event is. Um, you got Jim Miller, who's fought in UFC 100, 200, and 300, which is insane longevity. I think Jim Miller's 40. So, I thought he was older than that, but dude, you got Aljamain Sterling on the prelims. Right after he was a champ. He was the I think he was bantamweight champ. I don't remember. Whatever O'Malley was, I can't remember. I think he was bantamweight.
I'm better when it comes to boxing. I'm not that big of an MMA guy. I like to watch it sometimes. I will say I was hoping McGregor would be on the UFC 300 card. That would have been awesome.
So I'll cover this and then I'll get to what I've heard about that. Um, you got Yuri Prochazka fighting on the prelims. Oliveira, I think. I don't know how.
Is it
I don't know how
Charles
I don't
Oliveira?
know. Yeah, Oliveira. Anyway, this main card is absolutely loaded. You got um, I think it's the Nicole fight is the first one for the
Oh,
main
Bo Nickel.
Bo Nickel, yeah, and then Olivia Charles because I can't pronounce it. And then you got Gaethje and Holloway, which is gonna be a hell of a fight, and then Zhang Weili and Yan. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. I don't know a lot about women's MMA, but and then you have the Pereira and Jamal Hill fight. I'm excited for it. I don't know enough about MMA to break it down. I can't I can't predict it like keys to victory type thing. I haven't watched enough of it or enough of these guys fight, but it's a loaded card. I'm excited. We'll break it down next week, but that's all I got for that. Mm, and the odds are honestly really good. The Gaethje and the Holloway fight are fights I would catch though. The Gaethje and the Holloway, and then the Pereira and Hill fight.
So
All right.
those will definitely be interesting to be able to see, I guess, unfold. Um, I don't know. I've seen videos of Bo Nickel fighting. I like his style.
I think he's
I
like
also like
minus 3,000. Yeah, he's minus 3,000. He's 5-0-0, and Cody Brundage is plus 1,100, and he's 10-5-0
so moving on. You good with moving on?
Yeah.
Biggest. I'll say biggest event in golf happening this weekend with the Masters. Right down the road from us here, or at least me here in Columbia. I know they're going to start putting up the or not welcome to the Masters, but welcome patron signs on all of our city lamps here. Shortly, there's a lot of people who stay in Columbia for the Masters, so cool weekend. I don't know how it's going to go. I honestly don't know. There's a couple of people I could see winning it. There's one person I want to win it. So the betting favorite so far is Scotty, plus 450. He's been on a tear this year so far. He's already won two tournaments. I saw something today. His caddy, if you included his caddy on the PGA Tour money list for this season, his caddy would rank 25th. I mean that's insane. I think his caddy's made like 1 point something, 1.06. So hey, if you're good at golf and looking for a decent job, go try and caddy for a professional golfer. Um,
Right?
Rory Rory at plus 1,000. He's looking to complete the Grand Slam, his career Grand Slam. Um, and I mean, he hasn't been playing all that bad lately. His last two tournaments, he finished third at the Valero Texas Open, and then finished tied for 19th at TPC. So he might be getting hot at the right time. I would not mind a Scheffler and McIlroy playoff for the Masters. That that'd be some very quality TV. I think I know where my ass will be Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon. Um, so there's that. And then John Rahm to close out the top three at plus 1,100. I'm surprised they have him. I don't want to say this low, but at plus, I would have seen him at like plus 750, plus 800, just because of how well he's been playing after shifting over to live. And I get that there's some, I don't want to say speculation, but there's some debate as to how, like, the verity of live and like how these scores should match up with PGA tournament scores. But even then, John Rahm still a fantastic golf player. I wouldn't be surprised if he repeats again. Those I very easily could see Scotty or Rahm winning. I want Rory to win. I want him to get his career Grand Slam. Um, I want him to cement himself as one of the greatest golfers of all time, especially easily of our generation. And so that's kind of all I've got for it. It'll be we'll come out with a more in-depth picks board, whatever you want to call it. That'll come. I guess you'll see this Wednesday. It will come out Wednesday afternoon / evening. So be on the lookout for that. Um, yeah, Joey, what are your picks for this weekend?
All right, I got Alex Pereira money line. Big trust over here. That's at -130, unless the odds change. And then I got Scotty and John Rahm, both to finish top 10. That's at +230. Got the Thunder, and the odds for these aren't out yet, but I got the Thunder money line on Sunday. I forget who they're playing, but I liked it when I saw it. And then Flyers money line on Saturday. Forgot who they're playing again, but I like it. And then Pirates and Phillies Nerfy on Saturday. Don't know who the pitching matchup is, but I got a feeling. And the Phillies, not the Phillies, the Pirates have been playing really good. I mean, maybe their record's inflated because of the Marlins, but you know.
Hey, the Marlins finally won the other day, so I'm happy about that.
It's about time. What are you,
Yeah.
like 1-12?
Yeah, they got spanked by the Yankees tonight, being Monday night. But I mean, I took the Nerfy in my 12-leg day or 12-leg a day. That hit. Thankfully, the Yankees didn't start their beat down to like the fourth inning. So there was that. My picks in a give me Washington money line versus Tampa in a must-win game for the Capitals. Pretty much every game from here on out for them is going to be a must-win if they're looking to make the playoffs. Um, Give me Pittsburgh money line versus Detroit. I believe this was MLB. Yeah, give me 4-11. What's that? That is Thursday. Yeah, I think it's Pirates versus Tigers. So give me Pittsburgh Pirates money line. Um, Braves and Marlins. I think it's also Thursday. Give me the Nerfy on that. And I know it's
Did
Nerfy
you,
season, but
did you see that Spencer Strider has a UCL damage? That
that's a
sucks.
huge blow for the Braves rotation because
Especially
Strider.
in not even that. The Braves are going to make the postseason.
Mhm.
If he's not back by the postseason, they can't beat the Phillies with him. What are they going to do without him? I don't trust
So
it.
I'd say when we get a better prognosis for how long he'll be out and we'll be able to gauge when he comes back, look for the Braves to make some major moves around with their starting rotation and their bullpen come the trade deadline and kind of throughout the season. Um, I've got Scotty to win the Masters as one of my picks at +450. I think it's a good pick with the way he's been playing lately. I don't think there's very many people who can go band for band with him. And
With
then
our luck, he's not even going to get top 10.
yeah, we're gonna jinx him. And then okay, you took the Thunder on Sunday. I'm taking the Thunder on Friday. Money line versus Milwaukee. So it's
Was that
probably a better
5?
idea to. Yeah, that was 5.
Oh, whoops. Oh, yeah, that was because you
Yeah.
had 2 MLB picks.
hmm
Duh.
So
Stupid. My bad.
well,
Yeah, there's
when
no
you when
NBA on Saturday. I don't know why.
that was weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
there's
weird to me.
enough other sports going on. We'll throw in a bonus pick on the post when we post it, but it might in the meantime it might be better to fade what we're saying right now just because of how we've been doing lately. But um,
Honestly, you know
take it
what?
with a
I
grain
got
of
you.
salt.
You know what? We're gonna go Yukon -7.5, and we're gonna take
Is that for the game tonight?
yes.
Dude, this comes out on Wednesday.
I don't care. I want to see if I'm right.
Okay, for all of you
Yukon
listening at home,
-7.5.
I hope you
Do we
took
like the over or
Purdue.
the under? Do we like the
What's
over
the
or under
line?
at 142.5? The game's starting now, so you got to figure it out.
What was the score of the other?
Yeah, the game just tipped off. I kind of like the under. 142. I feel like I like the under. I feel like it's gonna be like an 80 to like. I feel
Yeah,
like it's gonna be like a 77,
take
like 50 something game.
take the under. I think UConn's gonna end up covering. If I'm being completely honest. Okay,
All right,
we are going
time to watch
to
the
go and
Natty.
watch that. Have a good one. We'll see you next Wednesday.